Your life is every rank in history's deadliest pirate crew. You are the most wanted man in the Atlantic. 7 navies have standing orders to sink your ship on sight. The bounty on your head is enough to buy a merchant vessel outright. Your crew hasn't seen land in 38 days, and the nearest naval squadron is closer than any of them know. You didn't climb to this position. You were voted here. And you can be voted out just as easily. But to understand how you got to this quarterdeck, we need to go back to the beginning. Level 1. The deserter. You are 22 years old, and you are starving inside the hull of a Royal Navy frigate that smells like rot and unwashed men. You were pressed into service 8 months ago, pulled off a merchant dock in Bristol by a gang that didn't ask your name before they had you in chains. Press gangs were legal. Your objection was not. That is the first thing you learned about how the legitimate world works. The Navy pays you 11 shillings a month when it pays you at all, which is not always, because prize money and back pay have a way of disappearing into the accounting of officers who have never missed a meal in their lives. Your officers eat from china plates in the stern cabin, while you eat weevil-riddled biscuit in the dark below decks. The biscuit is not a metaphor. You tap it on the side of your knee before eating it to knock out the insects. You have been doing this for 8 months, and you no longer think about it. 3 men have died from disease since you left port. 2 more were flogged so badly they couldn't stand for a week. 1 was flogged for being slow on a rope. The officer who ordered it had never touched a rope in his life. When the pirate ship appears on the horizon and the order comes to engage, something shifts inside you. Not fear. Recognition. The pirates take the frigate in 40 minutes. They are disciplined and fast, and they do not flog their own men. Their captain stands on deck afterward and makes an offer. Anyone who wants to join signs the articles. Anyone who doesn't is put ashore at the nearest port unharmed. No one is pressed. No one is chained. You sign. 14 other sailors sign with you. 3 of them were pressed men like yourself. 4 were volunteers who had simply done the arithmetic. The men who press sailors into service call what happened here theft of labor. The men doing the pressing never spent 8 months tapping weevils out of biscuit in the dark. Level 2. The common pirate. You have signed the Articles of Agreement, and you have never read a document like it in your life. Every man gets a vote on major decisions. Every man gets a named share of any prize taken. The captain gets 2 shares. The quartermaster gets 1.5. Everyone else gets 1. If you are injured in service, lose a hand, an eye, a limb, the articles specify your compensation exactly. 150 pieces of 8 for a right arm, 100 for a left, 80 for an eye. This is not charity. This is a contract. The legitimate world you came from had no contract. The Royal Navy had no contract. The merchant shipping company that employed your father had no contract. You worked until they stopped paying you or until you died, whichever came first, and the difference between those 2 outcomes was largely a matter of their preference, not yours. The pirate ship has a written agreement signed by every man aboard, including the captain. The irony of this is not lost on you. The most lawless society you have ever been part of is also the most legible. The work is brutal. The sea does not care about the articles. There are storms that last 4 days and leave men too exhausted to stand. There is scurvy, which starts with your gums bleeding and ends with your teeth in your hand. There are engagements where men die in ways you cannot describe afterward, because there are no words in the vocabulary you were given that cover what a 12-pound cannonball does to a man standing next to you. But 3 weeks into your first cruise, you take a Portuguese merchant carrying sugar and coin. Your share comes to 40 pounds sterling. 40 pounds. You made 11 shillings a month in the Navy. You have been a pirate for 3 weeks. You sit with this number for a long time. You think about your father. You think about the dock in Bristol. You think about the press gang. Then you stop thinking and start watching the horizon. Level 3. The specialist. You were a gunner's mate in the Navy before they pressed you. You know powder charges, optimal elevation at various ranges, the timing of a rolling broadside that hits before the target ship can adjust. On a pirate ship, this knowledge is currency more valuable than coin because coin can be spent and gunnery cannot be faked. The captain notices within the first engagement. He notices the way you adjust elevation before the order is given. He notices the timing of your cruise. Your first prize as a recognized specialist earns you an extra half share by crew vote. This is how it works. The articles can be amended by the crew at any time. The crew votes. The crew decides. There is no officer class, no purchased commissions, no man aboard paid his way to authority. Your value is what you can do, demonstrated in front of everyone, assessed by everyone, rewarded by everyone. You are, for the first time in your working life, paid what you are worth. The colonial governors who write to London calling these men savages and animals have never seen a more functional meritocratic institution. The Royal Navy that calls these men rebels and pirates runs on flogging, impressment, and officers who purchase their commissions from fathers, who purchase their titles from kings. You think about this sometimes between watches, standing at the rail watching the Atlantic go dark at the edges. Not with philosophy, with arithmetic. 11 shillings a month flogged for looking at an officer wrong, or 40 pounds a cruise with a vote on every major decision and compensation specified in writing for every injury. The math is not complicated. It was never complicated. The complexity was always manufactured by people who benefited from you not doing the math. Level 4. The Quartermaster. The crew voted for you, not because you are the most dangerous man aboard, though you have earned a reputation for accuracy under fire that most men on this ship would not test personally, because you are fair. Because when there is a dispute over shares or discipline or course, people trust your judgment over their own grievance. The quartermaster is the captain's equal in everything except command at sea during an engagement. On deck in battle, the captain's word is absolute. Everywhere else, in port, at anchor, in dispute, in the distribution of plunder, your word carries equal weight. You distribute the prize money to the last coin. You hear grievances from men who would not bring them to the captain. You convene juries of peers when accusations require adjudication. A man accused of stealing from a crewmate gets a trial. In the Royal Navy, he would have been flogged immediately on an officer's word. Here, he gets witnesses and a verdict from the people who know him. The colonial authorities who write about pirate ships in their reports describe scenes of chaos and barbarism. What they are describing, and cannot bring themselves to name, is a system of governance that grants ordinary working men more legal protections and political rights than any government in the Atlantic world currently offers its own citizens. This does not make you a revolutionary. You did not come here to remake the world. You came here because the world as it was made was going to kill you slowly on 11 shillings a month in the dark. But the thing you are building on this ship, one vote at a time, one fair distribution at a time, is more just than the thing that press-ganged you at 22. You notice this the way you notice weather, as a condition of the environment, as a fact without sentiment. Level 5. The captain. The previous captain made a decision without putting it to a vote. He engaged a vessel that turned out to be a naval frigate flying a merchant flag, a trap that cost 11 men their lives. The crew voted him out at dawn. They voted you in before the sun reached midday. This is the most important thing to understand about command at this level. You serve at the consent of every man on this vessel, and that consent is not symbolic. It is operational. The moment you lose it, you lose everything. Your reputation is your primary tactical asset. Merchant ships that know your name and your record strike their colors before you are within effective cannon range because the calculation is simple. Crews that resist you do not fare well. Crews that surrender quickly are put ashore with their personal belongings in their lives. This is not mercy. This is efficiency. A reputation for honoring surrender costs you nothing and saves you the lives of your own men in every subsequent engagement. You have maintained this discipline with precision over 2 years of command. You have never violated the articles. You have never taken more than your 2 shares. You have never ordered a man flogged because flogging is prohibited under your articles, and you signed the same document they did. You have been hunted by 4 navies for the past 2 years. The naval squadron that has been tracking your route for the past 3 weeks is 8 hours behind your position. Your navigator has known for 2 days. You have known for 2 days. The crew does not know yet, because knowing does not change their watch schedules, and fear is a drain on efficiency. You will tell them when the information becomes operationally relevant. That is what command at this level means. Not courage, not cruelty. Information, managed correctly, delivered at the right time. Level 6, the legend. You have been at sea for 6 years without returning to England. Your name appears in colonial newspapers from Boston to Barbados to the Cape. Merchant captains reroute entire voyages to avoid your known cruising grounds, which cost their employers thousands of pounds and cost you nothing. 3 governors have written to London requesting dedicated naval resources for your capture specifically. The bounty on your head has been raised 3 times. None of this protects you. All of it makes the arithmetic of your situation clearer by the month. The naval squadron is 4 hours behind you now. Your crew knows. The vote was held this morning on course and response. This is the last democratic act of this vessel, at least for now. There are 3 ways this ends, and every man aboard can name all 3. The King's pardon, which has been offered, and which several famous crews have accepted, and which several governments subsequently violated when it suited them. Capture at sea or in port, a trial in a colonial court where the outcome is known before the proceedings begin, and a hanging in chains at the harbor entrance, where your body is left until the tides and the birds are done with it, as a lesson to men who might make the same arithmetic you made. Or the sea itself decides, which it does for every man eventually, and which requires no assistance from any navy. Most of your crew voted for the course that keeps the 3rd option open longest. They are not reckless men. They are men who have lived outside the system long enough to know that returning to it offers nothing they want. You understand this. You made the same calculation yourself on a dock in Bristol 13 years ago, when a press gang grabbed your arm, and the law said they were right to do it. The ship that took you that day represented a world that owned your labor and called the ownership justice. This ship, your ship, represents something that world chose to hang rather than examine. The squadron is 3 hours out. You give the order to change course. The crew moves before the echo of your voice is gone. They always do. They always have. Whatever this ends as, you will meet it as the only thing the world that built Bristol and press gangs and weevil biscuit and purchased commissions never intended to make of you. A man with a vote. A man with a contract. A man with a share. A man who, when asked to choose, chose.